wanted to enjoy, after quitting OMA. And the reason why I did crash in Mexico City, because I was like, okay, so which city could it be?
So, firstly, I would like to thank you, Mr. Ludwig, for coming on the podcast. And from the whole team of House Galleria, we are really glad that you accepted our invitation, and then you are sharing your thoughts, your time, your experiences on the podcast. And for all of our viewers and all of our listeners, would you like to take a minute and introduce yourself a bit? What you do, where is, like, how did architecture happen in your life, and a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you for inviting me, back. Well, talking about myself, so I'm based in Mexico City, but I was born in France, no? So I study architecture in Paris, and then and during my studies also, I started to travel around Europe and work with different offices. So I did work with Enric Miralles and Benedetta Tagliabue in Barcelona. I have a little experience also in Paris, but in totally unknown office. Then at some point I went to New York to work with an office called Thomas Lisser in New York City. And then when I came back from New York to finish my studies in Paris, then after graduating from the architecture school in Paris, I went to work with Rem Koolhaas, OMA in Rotterdam. So, and I stayed for a while with OMA, Rem Koolhaas, learn architecture. So I really I have like a really strong European background, no? Since I was born, studied until my last professional experience in Europe. And then when I decided to quit OMA Rem Koolhaas, I started to look a possibility to work. I did not want to work in France, no? So it had to be abroad. And I had this opportunity with Tatiana Bilbao, architect in Mexico City. So she invited me to come and collaborate with her in her office. And so it's when I arrived in Mexico City, it was in 2007. So it's been now 13 years that I'm living in Mexico City. And in 2011, I started my own practice. And so now it's the result, like 9 years after. I started first of all doing like some interiors, bars and clubs, and then finally I could manage to work to design my first house, which is the Casa Cicatella. And then from now I'm working now mainly on private houses, no, which is something that I like. And I don't know, it's like this is my background, no? So the way I arrived to Mexico City. And then what about myself, no? So, and then when I arrived in Mexico City, I started to work like in a very different way, no? And I started to work in a more massive way with like totally different rules. We don't have so much normativity to respect in Mexico City. We don't have isolation to respect in Mexico. So really, you can work like in a very, I would say, like in a very free way, in a way that you can almost do whatever you want, no? It's not like in Europe or in United States that you have all the time to respect the rule, to follow some industrial process also, because like everything is so expensive. So you work with a catalog. So in Mexico City, you can still incorporate the part of the architecture process, the handcraft dimension. So this is something really interesting in Mexico. So then it's the reason why my architecture started to change a lot, and now I'm designing, I would say, in a Mexican way. Except I'm working in a Mexican, I'm designing in a Mexican way, but I'm mixing, of course, my personal story with this, no? So my personal story is about, on one end, I have France, no, the country where I was born. So, it's like, this is defining you, as you live in Budapest, but you're Indian. You're Indian. You're from India, no. So it's you will never change this. No, it's really part of your identity, which is the same for me. And on the other hand, I have the country that I love, and which is my adoptive country, which is Mexico, no. And I started to make a fusion and mix those two different cultures together to create my own story. So in France, I was born, I'm French, but I'm from a part of France which is called Normandy, no? Which is on the Atlantic coast, a little bit up, like on the north, just on top of Brittany. So it's the place during the Second World War where the D-Day happened. So we have like a lot of bunkers all around the coast, part of something that we call the Atlantic Wall, coming from the north of Norway until the south of France, north of Spain, no, almost. And so it was always like, for me, like the atmosphere of the it's a cold area, not a windy area. It's raining a lot, so it's like you go to the beach, but it's not like a tropical area. No, it's more like you go and you have to wear like clothes for the wind, boots and everything. No, it's more like this kind of atmosphere. And you have those concrete structures abandoned on top of the dunes, and you can see them like every, I don't know, like 3 to 4 kilometers. No, so you see them everywhere. And in Mexico, when I arrived, I was like 27 years old, 28 years old. And I did not know what was a pyramid before. I mean, I knew from the books, but my first pyramid was in Mexico, no? And I started to fall in love with those structures because I could find like some sort of relation between those bunkers and those pyramids, no? Like very massive structures, abandoned ruins. It's like a monolithic architecture. One is made out of stone, the other one is made out of concrete. But at the final, they share a lot of similarities, no? And it's then, I mean, this is now what I'm telling you, the story that I'm telling you. It took me like about, I don't know, like 10 years to understand this, that I was starting to work in a relation between those two. But so now that I have it clear, this is something that is a sort of signature of my architecture, mixing those bunkers and pyramids. So this is what you can see in my project. No, there is a lot of steps all the time, a lot of walls, blind walls. Everything out of concrete, very monolithic architecture, no?
Yes. And I have one question which you just explained. When we are looking at the lives of legendary architects, so since you are a very young architect at this point and you are doing amazing work, but when you are looking at someone who have done work for 40 years or 45 years, and when you look at the life, you see that there is a huge influence of travel and different cultures on any architect's life. Like when someone travels from one point to another point, they meet new people, new artisan, and since you originally you are from France, you have worked in different countries, and now you are working in Mexico. Do you think as an architect, like it is really important for us to travel, to explore the world in order to fulfill our soul as a designer? Do you think it have some importance?
Definitely. I mean, for me, I mean, you're talking about something like for me, which is the key of my life. No, it's like if I would have stayed in France after studying architecture, I would do architecture probably in Paris in a very French way. Like traveling for me is totally like about like you open your mind, everything is possible. And what I like about traveling is that you understand that there is not only one answer, there is like a lot of answers, and there is a lot of correct answers. No, it's like,
Yes.
and it's like normally it's like all the time everybody is trying to have the best answer and to have like an answer which is better than the other one. No, when you start traveling, you understand that at the same time you can accept different answers and different good answers. No, and this is like about the culture. No, it's like we are all different. So what do you want? It's impossible that there is only one way of thinking. No, so, and I think this is something that I like about traveling, that you understand this, and then my architecture is one answer. Then you like or you don't like. I mean, I do understand that some people, they would like my architecture, and some they would totally be in a strong dislike with it. No,
Yes.
and especially because it's rough and it's out of concrete. And so this is exactly what I'm trying to use all the time. Like trying to catch what I like about even your country, India. No, it's like you go see the Shambhauri step well, and you mix it with a pyramid of Mexico. No, and you grab a little bit of all the different culture. No, or even like mixing some a trip you did in Japan with a trip you did in India. No, so this is something that I could do, because I love India and I love Japan, and this is totally the exact opposite. No, one is a perfect country, everything is in order, and India is just like a giant mess, noisy, with a lot of dust and colors and smells. No, so, and I think this is India better than Japan or Japan better than India? We don't care. I mean, it's like those two countries are both beautiful, no? And so I think it is something that I love about traveling, and this is something that I'm trying all the time to integrate in my architecture, no? And this is also my story here living in Mexico City as a French guy. When I go back to France, they call me the Mexican, and here in Mexico they call me the French. No, so finally, I'm not anymore French, but I will never be 100% Mexican. No.
And Ludwig, there is something really interesting which you just shared, that when you are traveling and you got to see a lot of those cultures, a lot of new people, a lot of new styles. So in a way, now you have more answers to the life. And I think that is why these days you will look at a lot of international studios. They are giving priority to the people who speak multiple languages, who have lived in different countries, because in a way that you have more answers, you have more concepts in your mind, if you have traveled more, if you have met more people, if you have understanding of more cultures. But now since we move from this part to another part, now my question to you is, would you like to share a little bit about how did your journey as a practice begin? Like what was your story? How did you get your first project, and how did you create? Because it's not easy that you are in Mexico, you don't have anything in Mexico, you came into this city and then you start on your own, and it's 9 years, it's almost a decade since you have set yourself up. So it's not like in the end of your journey everything will look incredible, but we know that everything is very difficult when you are going through that. So would you like to share a little bit about the journey of your practice as an architect?
Sure. Look, when I started, I mean, as I told you, when I was in Mexico, I was working as an employee for the office of Tatiana Bilbao. And then after 2 years, I had clear in my mind that I wanted to do my own project, no? Especially, like working the way you imagine architecture has to be. No, it's like my personal answer, because all the time, if you work for someone, you have this filter on top of you. No, so this is something I really wanted to be on my own, having my own project. But because, as you said, no, it's like I arrived in Mexico. I don't have family in Mexico. I don't have connection in Mexico, so I had to start like from scratch, no. And then at that time, I had a friend, and we made a partnership together. And this guy was not an architect; he was an antique dealer.
Oh,
So, so this is the way I started. This is really strange, no? Because this is
yes.
it seems to be like very far from architecture.
Hmm.
And then I don't know, we had this connection, and first of all, we started being friends, no? And then he was like, because he was an antique dealer, so he was all the time in touch with people willing to create a bar, a restaurant, or whatever. But it was like really like interior architecture, no? And I was like, you know, like for me, it's fine. Everything is fine. I can do whatever I had to do at that time, because I wanted to have my own project, no? And so this is the way I started, like doing a restaurant. The first project did not work. We could not build the first project because of money, blah blah blah. Well, the partners decided not to build the project. And then the second one, then we had a good relationship together. We were happy to work together. So I said, okay, so we should do it again, no? And then came the first project, the first real project that I did manage to build was a club. In my portfolio, there is one called Eme Roy. This guy is Bengali. I don't know if you know Mana Bendra Nath Roy.
Okay.
And well, this is something because we did figure out that the guy came to Mexico. He was Bengali, and he created the first social party, clandestine social party in Mexico City. And what the information we found is like he did create this clandestine social party, communist party, in this house where we built the club. So
Okay.
that's why we put the name Emene Roy, Manabendra Nath Roy.
Okay.
And,
That,
well, so this is my story. This is my first project, no? So, and we had like we had then a good publication. The project got received very well. We are very happy about this, and it was very funny because they were like Mexican friends wanted to make like a club like for their friends and to have nice music. And they were like, okay, so we could make like a sort of speakeasy, like a New York speakeasy, no? I don't know. It's all the time like fashion, no? To make like a speakeasy. I don't know why everybody wants to make speakeasy. And there is something very funny in Mexico. All the time they want to make Miami style or New York style or whatever, no? And I'm like, and me and my friend, we said, but why don't we do a Mexican style club, no?
yes.
And so that's why we started to work like with pyramids and with I don't know, everything related with pre-Hispanic vocabulary of architecture. So that's why there is an arch and stones and copper, and we made like something like very strong and I don't know, like you feel you're in a church, no? But like, you know, like with a sacrifice table in the middle where you have the DJ playing, and so this was the story, no? Like bringing back a little bit of Mexican culture in something that normally they would always turn themselves to Europe or United States, trying to bring those kind of references to Mexico. But then we decided we want to use the Mexican identity, and was I don't know. So this is how it started, no? And then, of course, for me, it's like entering the pre-Hispanic atmosphere. I don't have any. It's not that it has an archaeological value. What I'm saying, no, it's like I'm not an expert in archaeology, but it's like I just look at the pyramid and I go visit pyramids and temples, and it's like I don't care about the story of the temple. I care about the emotion that I will feel when I enter the space, no? And this is something like very subjective and personal, and this is what I use to create my architecture, no?
And so yes, and since you just mentioned about a little bit about your process, that for you it is much more about the emotions, what you feel when you enter into a site, that what you feel and how do you feel. And
definitely, I mean, you have to create emotion. This is the base of everything, no? Because like solving a floor plans, I would say real estate is able to make a floor plan as good as an architect, no?
Yes.
Drawing apartments and towers and whatever. What is not able to do is put emotion in the space. At the moment you open the door and you say, wow, there is something special. The light is special. The view, you open the door and you feel something, and you cannot explain. I remember that there is a word of Le Corbusier. I'm a very, very big fan of Le Corbusier. If we want to talk about a little bit, also my references. No, I would use always Louis Kahn, Le Corbusier, and Carlos Carpa. No, this is my three masters among many others. No, but let's say those three are like my personal mentors. And I went to Chandigarh. Chandigarh was a beautiful trip.
Oh, Chandigarh is a paradise of Corbusier. Like everyone who is following Corbusier, they have to visit. Like Chandigarh is a living museum of Corbusier. When you go, and do you know? I know a person who built, who designed, and who worked on Chandigarh with Corbusier. So it is so yes. I am in touch with one person who worked on the design of Chandigarh with Corbusier.
But now they are very old, because it's like people like Balkrishna Doshi, no? It's like they're like 90 years old.
Yes, very old. And Balkrishna Doshi, like he won Pritzker's prize, Pritzker's award.
Exactly, like 2 or 3 years ago, no?
Yes.
Not so long ago.
Yes.
And it's like, and this is based, for example, no? It's like when you arrive in Chandigarh, it's like an administrative city, no? It's like the parliament, the tribunal, the court, no? And the the general's administrative secretary, no?
Yes.
But like you feel emotion when you enter the space. It's not like any building, any administrative building you can find all around the rest of the country, no? This is something very special, because this is something that you have to be an architect to create emotion, no?
Yes.
And definitely this is the big difference between I don't know, like an administrative area and Chandigarh. Chandigarh is way on top of the rest of any administrative area of India, and because it was based on the dream also, no? It's like being, like the new India separating from Pakistan, having a new capital for the Hindus and the Muslims going on the other side in Lahore, no? And so this is something also. There is a dream behind all of this, no? So architecture is something you have to translate the emotion of this dream in the architecture.
Yes, and there is something really beautiful which you just mentioned. You mentioned that a real estate guy can draw the floor plans, but he cannot create the experience. And I think that is why in a way that we as a designers are responsible for creating those things, and that's why they always come and consult with us. And I think this is the cross sharing of experiences, because since they are the one who can go and sell the building, and we are the one who can go and create the experience. So I think as an architect, as a designer, we should be dead focused on developing our soul, because what you are mentioning, that you have been traveling all your life to all these places, you have seen Chandigarh, you have worked with great architects, great architectural firms, and now you have that experience. So real estate developer who's coming to you, he knows that he's talking about something serious, because you have those experiences. So what I'm little bit curious about, like, what is your process? Because since you have seen the entire spectrum, that you have seen French part of the world, you have seen the work of Corbusier, now you have been working in Mexico. So I'm little bit curious about what is your process of doing a project now. Suppose if a project comes, how do you begin with it? What's your usual process?
It's very interesting, this, because like the only thing now that I'm able to ask is time. No, and normally in architecture there is no time. No, it's like all the time people, they want to see images after 2 weeks or 3 weeks. No, and now when I start a project, what I'm trying to explain to my client is like, and as I told you or at the beginning, I don't know if it was like during the private introduction together, but I was telling you that I don't want to grow my team, no, because this is the point. When if I grow my office, if I grow my team, I prefer to outsource part of the project if I need to have an extra working assistance. No.
Yes.
But by having such a small structure, I'm able now to ask time, no? So for me, it's impossible that I would answer after 2 or 3 weeks something for a project, no? It's like, and the minimum time now I'm asking is to design an house is 2 months, 2 months and a half, no? Okay. And before 2 months or 2 months and a half, a client would never see anything, no? And what I do, basically, I draw, and I let it on the corner of my desk, and I work on something else. And then after a week, I go back and having taking the time and trying to let the project come. No, yes. So the project comes this way because you're not in a rush. No, you're not. And for example, I don't draw during probably the first 2 to 3 weeks. I even don't draw anymore. No, at the beginning, when I was younger, all the time you want to have a design. No, you're like, you're impatient and you want a design to pop up right now. And now I know that I don't need to force the design. The design has to come, and it has to come like in a very slow and natural way. So like the first 2 or 3 weeks, I'm just writing. I'm not writing poetry or whatever. No, I'm just like taking notes in my cell phone. Like I have like, I don't know, like at the beginning, like I after 2 weeks, I have like 50 ideas, no? And let's say 45 ideas, they're like just garbage, no? Yes. And then from the 5, I would start to put a hierarchy between the ideas, and at the final, my goal is to keep only one idea. Okay. No? And this is something like very interesting in architecture, that if you have 0 idea, it would be a bad project. No, I don't have to explain why. But if you have 10 ideas, it's also a bad project. No. So the only way to have a good project is to have only one idea. But of course, if you have only one idea, it's the most risky part, because if it's a wrong idea, you're in 0 again. No?
Yes. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have one question. Since you just mentioned that you start working and your process is, it take minimum 2.5 months to show anything to client. So suppose if you're working on a project and you come up with, let's say, 25 ideas but you still don't know that you are still looking for that one idea, which your soul says that okay, Ludwig, go with this idea, and if, let's say in those 2.5 months you are not able to come up with that idea, so what you usually do? You extend the time, or you accept some average idea? Like what's your...
Now this has to come. This has to come all the time. This is the typical part. No, let's say the first 2 to 3 weeks, I would start to take notes and try to select ideas. No, and then the next 2 to 3 weeks, let's say we're talking about months and a half, I would start to draw those ideas. No, so I'm trying to sketch between by hand with the 3D. I'm working with models all the time. All my project, I'm doing models of all my projects.
Okay.
And then I would start to quickly try to understand if it's a good idea or if it's a wrong idea. And then after, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks, I would decide this is the one. No, this is the one. But now, let's say it's already like a month and a half, and I have the idea. And then I have to develop the idea. So let's say it's another 2 weeks. And then another 2 weeks to produce the idea, to make a final presentation with images, with final model, with final drawings, whatever you can imagine, plan, section, facade, and whatever. So that's why also it's like I cannot reduce anymore the time. And when people are asking me to work faster, I'm saying no, I prefer not to do the project, because if you ask me to be fast, you will have a bad result. Just because you wanted to cut the first month, the result won't be good. No. So yes, this is my process. Models, writings, and finding, trying to find always one idea. And my idea all the time is something like very simple. No, it's like I'm not working with Punky's ideas. I'm not trying to bring it to philosophy and stuff like this. No, it's like about, like, for example, I would, in the case of Casa Merida that I have in my work, I was sending you. The first time I entered on the site of the house, well, this is this house. At some point, probably if you pass from one picture to another, this is this house. It's this is what I will explain. No, there is a perspective in this house. This is my only idea. I would say this is my only idea. The rest is pure design. Then it's the design. You like it, you don't like it. You prefer to have it white, yellow, blue. Do you like the circle, or would you prefer a square? We are not talking about an idea. We're talking about a subjective piece of design inside of my architecture. But my main idea for this project, when I first entered the site of this house, it was when I pushed the main door on the street. The proportion of the plot is a long lane. This is like, for example, what I was drawing for it's a water collector. No, it's like, I'm like all the time like like the water collector. We try to hide them in the corner, but like they never disappear in the corner. You just see them in the corner, and I don't like it because you don't see the corner. And I think always the age in architecture is something like defining the volume of the architecture. So I don't like to break the edge with a pipe or something like this. So in this case, I decided to do it like even bigger, right in the middle of my architecture, and this way the water collector, they are disappearing more than if it would be a pipe in the corner. So this is something like this. Now I like to work on those kind of stuff. But what I wanted to explain, so the first time I entered, like the proportion of the land was 88 meters long by 8 meters wide. So 8 by 88.
Oh my God.
So you imagine the proportion of it. Not something like very strange. It's very long. It seems like endless. And the main idea, I mean, the only idea, the one I'm talking about was, what about if I do an 88 meters long perspective? which means you open the door and you would see 88 meters going in front of you, no, until the back of the land. And I think, like, this is my idea. This is my idea because, like, I was thinking this is probably the first time they were the first and last time that they would give me such a piece of land, no, with this kind of proportion. So this is something very special. This is something probably that will never happen again in my life, having a piece of land of 8 by 88, no? And I think when you do such a perspective, then you can do whatever you want around this perspective. I mean, you have the strong idea, no? This is the vertebral column of your project, and then everything is based on this perspective. And at some point, if you turn a little bit the images, and then what I was telling you, the rest is design. This is the end of the perspective, arriving in the swimming pool. And at some point we will see, when I see the picture, I will tell you about the this is the main look, this is the facade.
Oh,
go back to the facade. Back.
Oh, sorry, back.
Back. This one. This is this is what you see from the street. This was the existing building, no?
Okay.
And what I wanted my house to be a secret. I wanted my house, like, I don't want people to know what's inside. No, it's privacy. I'm defending my privacy, intimity. So you have this. It was like a very small, humble worker house, and you have like the main entrance for the pedestrian, and then on the other side was a window, no? And I decided to open the window to make a garage, and so that's why, no, you can see like a very dirty beam of concrete, no? So what I want now, and on top I was adding a little piece of stone, so the house is a little bit higher now.
Yes.
You can see old and the new.
Yes.
And I wanted the facade to remain the same, as nothing would happen from the outside. And then when you push this door, the one on the right side, you have this 88 meters long perspective, and inside of the house, inside of the perimeter, the inner perimeter, this is this concrete house, no? So this is totally another story. This is the new story that I'm trying always to connect with the part of the history of the land, no? Because before me was happening something, someone, a family was living on this piece of land, and this is like some sort of testimony of what was before.
Ludwig, I must say one thing, that when someone is looking at your project, and someone, suppose they don't know you personally, someone who's looking at your project and don't know you personally, they can never imagine that you are such a young architect and you are doing this kind of work. Because I what I'm going to do, I'm going to share this whole thing with my team, and we are going to run one story on all of our media channels, and we will ask our viewers to guess your age by looking at your project. And let's see, because this is, when I'm looking at this particular thing, and when I'm looking at this, and when I'm looking at like this is a experience at completely new level. And what you were saying, that you may be outsourcing some of your operations, but you are not at all compromising with the quality. And that what we can see in these images, that what you are creating, it's really something so amazing, that it can't be expressed in words. So I'm really astonished by looking at this particular project of yours. And what was the reaction of client when client kind of like when the entire project was realized and client came in the house? What was client's reaction?
I mean, I have to say, I was very lucky to get such a client, no? Because, when you present something like this, I had a physical model made out of cut board and some renders and plans and everything, but it's not so easy to understand the complexity, because it's like so many spaces, so many corners, so many atmosphere. And so this is about like it's having like, you know, like a sort of promenade inside of the house, no? And you have
Yes.
to follow the different moment of the day, the light. There is places for the morning, and there is places for the afternoon, and there is some places you if you go at noon, it's impossible because you're gonna get burned because of the sun, which is
Yes.
very strong in
Very
Merida. Merida can reach above 40 degrees Celsius, and it's very, very, very warm. And so, and you know, like having this pyramid and stuff. So, you know, like the client was trusting me. He was trusting me, but of course, you cannot understand the dimension of this, no? And also because, like, for example, this room is 5 meters tall, down the staircase, those tribunes. And so I was very lucky because I have to say that if you want to do a good project, you also have to get a good client.
Yes.
No, this is a key part. Without a
Yes.
good client, you would
Yes.
never manage a good project. And
Yes.
then, of course, now I have a little bit more experience, so the people, they also look after me for what I'm doing, no? But this is also something very very complicated that I decided a long time ago. I'm working like I'm able to work like maybe for 10%, 5% of the Mexican people, you know, like the big bourgeoisie of Mexico, they would never understand what I'm doing, no?
Yes.
Because you have no finishing, because it's raw concrete, brute concrete, no?
Yes.
And so actually, you know, I'm not working for the rich Mexican people. I have to work for alternative younger Mexican people. I would say if you want to put a sticker on top, I kind of work for a sort of hipster community, no?
Yes. Yes.
But I don't work for the bourgeoisie.
Yes. I can see. And when, like, how did your romance with concrete started? Because I can clearly see that there is a very raw concrete used in your project. Like, how did this all? Is it because of Corbusier, or like how did it all started?
It's what I was telling you at the beginning, no? So the first relation that I have with concrete is the bunkers of Normandy, no?
Yes.
Then there is, of course, this relationship with Le Corbusier, which is part of the architect I respect the most, no? And he's the one who invented concrete. But this I did understand this like long time after studying architecture. But I would say my first relationship with concrete is the bunker. And then so I had all the time this fascination for concrete, and I was working then with Enrique Miralles, he was also like a big master with concrete. Then he was mixing with much more materials and like bricks and steel, and always I had this fascination with concrete. And then and so at some point, you know, like, yes, I wanted to work with concrete, but you know, it's not very easy to make your first house out of concrete, no? Because you know, you have a reality, which is the desire of your client. And if your client say, no, it's looking very sad, you cannot explain him that he will feel very happy in an atmosphere that is considering very sad if he does not like concrete, no? And so the first project that I did for Casa Cicatela, the first, which is like the square with the tribune inside, no, like those steps. You know, like the very first version, and I was very lucky. A second time, so this is the first project from scratch, no? And so I present the project. The project is getting accepted. But at the very beginning, the project is not a concrete project. It was like a white walls with some parts out of stone, no? Like the steps and everything was out of stone, and the perimeter was white, and so a little bit more conventional, I would say. And so it took like a long time to reach the budget. So at the beginning it was too expensive. We did not have the money to build. And then happened something like very interesting, that at that time I was looking who will build this house, the constructor of this house. Then in this part of Mexico, the house is in a city called Puerto Escondido in the state of Oaxaca, in the south of Mexico, on the Pacific coast. And was building Tadao Hondo, a big project called Casa Wabi, that you probably know, Casa Wabi. And Casa Wabi was under construction. And then when I did realize that Casa Wabi was under construction, I said, okay, so I grab a flight and I try to enter Casa Wabi to figure out who's building Casa Wabi. And then I came to an architect called Alfonso Quiñones, and then he has also a nice office called back. And then I got in touch with this guy, and for some reason, so I could manage to build this house with the same people building the Casa Wabi. And so at some point I brought my client to Casa Wabi, which was under construction. Nobody knew about Casa Wabi at the time in Mexico because it was still really under construction. And I bring my client and I tell my client, would you like that we do exactly the same in your house, like just pure concrete and wood? And I tell my friend, I would love to do this. What do you think about this? And the guy told me, yes, I would love to. And so that's the reason why. So I did switch the finishing of Casa Cicatela from white and stone to pure concrete and wood. So also, it's like, it's about, being lucky. You have to be lucky. You have to be receptive also to the fact that what you're planning will never happen the way you're planning it. At some point on the road, will open a new direction, a new possibility, a new opportunity, a new accident also. An accident can be a new opportunity. So and then I started with Casa Cicatela. I was very happy to finally be able to build an house 100% out of concrete. And then now it's part of my identity, So people do understand that if I do an house, it would probably be out of concrete, But because, I don't know, it's like I feel also very happy about concrete because, Mexico is a very free country, but also it has another part in Mexico, the finishing, you're suffering always a little bit in Mexico because, it's like sometimes it's difficult to reach the high top quality in terms of finishing. So for me, it also was something like, I don't have to do finishing anymore. It's like I just cast the concrete, I just pour the concrete, and then the structure is the finishing. So you cut the time, you cut the problems, you cut the details. So, and then at the final, for me, I'm just enjoying much more my construction process because I don't have to go with my client and explain that the tiles, they are not straight, but it's like this, and I'm very sorry about this, because this happens all the time, when you have like fine finishings, then you have to take like very strong care about the way they're gonna execute it,
Yes, you're right. And Ludwig, when we are working as an architect, since if I have to just give one example, because suppose if you are a fashion designer, so someone who's coming to you, they are expecting that, okay, I want a wedding suit, or I want a wedding gown, or I want something for which I really want to look good, but at the same time people want to dress well every day, they want to look good every day. So in a way, a lot of fashion designers are coming out on different platforms, they're sharing their thoughts that, okay, you should wear brown trousers with this kind of shirt and these kind of shoes. But what I feel, that fashion is just one small part of your personality, but your spaces, your office space, your house, this speaks of volumes about you. So I usually ask these questions to our guests, that you have a lot of experience, and as an architect, your job is to work as a consultant, because you are giving advices to a lot of your clients. So if you can share some of the pointers of with our viewers, like to the people who are not designer like professionally, but they want to improve their life, that okay, like would you like to share some stuff that okay, they want to improve a little bit of their design sense, and then they want to live, they want to have a better house, they want to live in a better way, so that in a way the entire community gets better, and then it is good for designers also, because then if people are more aware and they are more aware that okay, we need designers, so they will approach to more designers. So it is a ripple effect in both the ways. So would you like to share some of your pointers with the viewers?
Mira, look, it's difficult for me to give advice in a way. I was telling you at the beginning, no, that there is not only one answer. There is like multiple answers, and we have to accept that I have one version of it, but another good architect, because there is so many good architects in this world, designers, whoever you can imagine, can have also like something very different and very good at the same good at the same time. No.
Yes.
But let's say, but more than advice, I can explain what's interesting for me, no? And it was interesting for me, and sometimes, yes, of course, when you come to me to ask me for a project, you have to accept this part of my personality, no? And my personality would always say, I want to get rid of the unnecessary, no? Because I have the feeling that around us in our lives, we have so many stuff, and we have so many modernity, and we have so many accessories that for me they seems to be useless, no? So
Yes.
and then that's how I came to this, no? So for example, you know, like you can go for a full comfort house with AC all the time, or you decide to have like a double cross ventilation passing through the house, and you have only a pure fan on top of you, but you're not in this AC atmosphere, no? So definitely I would go for something like this, no? I'm trying to go back to a more simple way of living, a more natural way of living. I don't want to have so much modernity around me. So always what I'm trying to find is a connection with vernacular architecture, no? Having only simple stuff. You know, I was born in Normandy in a very small village. I'm coming from a village of 1,500 people. And you know, it's a very, very small village. Now I'm living in a city of 25 million people, no?
Yes.
But the point is, I'm a farmer. I'm a peasant, no? And you know, I still have this mentality of, you know, like having just like a few stuff around me, but the stuff that I like and they're useful for my life, no? And so that's the reason why now also, and after like this process of architecture, I came to the idea to get rid of the finishing, no? And so I just want to have massive material in my architecture for only one reason: go back to the concept of the patina of time, you know, and under the action of time, you know, something can look even better, you know, like an old church, an old temple, you know, like having this stone at the entrance of a church, which is becoming curved because of so many centuries, people passing on top of this stone, the main entrance of the church. But you know, the stone is curved, but it's still the same stone, no? It's still even if it was getting old. And then now our modern society, where we have it's more about, we do a project for the next 10 years, and in 10 years we throw everything away, and we do another new interior project on top, no? And so this is something that I would definitely define as part of my architecture. I want to go back to the concept of getting old, getting better looking with the time. And for this reason, I really prefer to have like a massive piece of pine wood than a fake covered medium wood with ebony, Like if it's ebony wood, but it's not massive, it does not make sense for me. I don't have the concept of precious wood and cheap wood, What for me, what's the luxury part of architecture is being massive, being, like in time, it's not getting damaged, it's getting old.
Yes. It's so correct what you are just saying, that it's not getting damaged, it's getting old. And on our second podcast, we had one very, very nice guest. He's one of the, he's very nice architect from Belgium. And he said that earlier what he used to do in his project, he used to take materials which was available. And then he said, suppose if you are spending X amount on the project, and after certain time, the material is getting damaged, but he said that when you look at something like, let's say, wine or something like, which is getting better and better and better with time, so he said that then I started innovating with the material. And
exactly, the action of time. I mean, this is something that you do understand in the vernacular architecture, like that everything is getting old, but like the wooden door was massive, so it's looking old, and because they were opening and closing the door like during centuries, but still the door is the same door with of course the time on top, Yet there is a new layer of a new coat of materiality which is called time on top.
Yes, you're right. So now we are in the final session, final round of our session. So in this round, to make it, because since we have talked a lot about your experiences, about your thoughts on and your style of architecture, so now to make it a little bit more entertaining for our viewers, so this is the rapid fire round. So in this rapid fire round, what we usually do, we give you two options, like you must have played this game. I'll give you like this or that, and very quickly you have to select one option. So okay, so let's begin. So I'll give you two options and you have to select one. Okay, so Paris or Mexico?
Oh, Mexico.
Okay, BMW or Mercedes?
Mercedes.
Okay. Okay, whiskey or vodka?
Whiskey.
Okay, Ferrari or Lamborghini?
Lamborghini.
Okay, and contemporary or modern?
Modern.
Okay, with that said, like it was an amazing session with you, and I hope our viewers will enjoy it as much as I enjoyed recording it with you, because it was a great time talking to you, and I didn't realize that what you shared, it was so nice, and I want to thank you